All right, everybody. Good evening. Hope you guys are doing well today. And I know that we're all amped up for tomorrow's game. We're less than 24 hours away. And I know that if you're a Seahawks fan, your thoughts are definitely on what is going on with the team on the field. But since things are relatively chill right now, and since this happened a couple days ago and I didn't get the opportunity to talk about it then, I thought now would be a good time to make a quick little video talking about Charles Cross's contract because I think it was on Wednesday we got the finer details of his deal, and it's worth going over. It's worth taking a look at, trying to get a feel for what the cap hits are going to be, what the structure of the deal is, and basically trying to understand what we're really committed to here with Charles Cross. So SpoTrack has the latest. I think OTC has as well. We're going to use SpoTrack today, so let's take a look. All right, everybody, before we go any further into the video, I want to take a minute to tell you guys about a wonderful app called Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat about sports in real time with other users. You can get all kinds of scores, sports news, and sports alerts with blazing fast speed. And of course, you can play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. So enjoy sports with other people in a community. Download the Sleeper app today, and remember to use the promo code SBN, that is SBN, for up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And they also have a free $20 entry right now, no deposit required, so pair those two up. Terms and conditions do apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. Check out the Sleeper app and have fun with sports this year. All right, so as we all know, because it happened a couple weeks ago, Charles Cross was given a 4-year, $104.4 million contract extension, and that's on top of the contract that he still had on the books for next year, which was the 5th-year option. So when you actually do the math on it, it comes out to around $24 million a year for the next 5 years. Now, with that in mind, let's take a look and see how the cap hits were divvied out on this contract. So the first thing we want to look at is 2026 cap hit and how it compares to what it was previously. So as you can see here, 2026, the cap hit for Charles Cross is $10.9 million approximately. Call it 10.9, 3.58% of the cap. And obviously the dead cap hit would be untenable, but we don't even really need to think about that right now. So what now? We compare that to the 5th-year option, which is what Charles Cross was on previously. The 5th-year option was 17.5 million approximately. So 17.5 was the cap hit for Cross next year. Now it's 10.9. So the first thing that happens with this extension is that the Seahawks have freed up approximately 6.5, call it $6.6 million in 2026 cap space. So $6.6 million has been freed up on the 2026 cap. That's money that can go towards the draft class that we're going to have. That's money that can go towards maybe the first year of a Ken Walker contract extension. That's money that could go towards the first year of a Kobe Bryant extension, whatever they want to do. But that's the first thing. This is actually creating cap space in 2026 for the Seahawks. So I would call that good news. I would say that's a good thing. Obviously, we have plenty of cap space next year. We don't necessarily need it. But I do think that's a good thing. We freed up cap space, keeping a player that we always wanted to keep anyway. Now, if you look at the rest of the contract, it's actually spread out pretty darn evenly. 2027, we kick into overdrive here with a $23 million cap hit. So that's a significant bump up, but it's still only about 7.2% of the cap. And then in 2028, it actually goes down a little bit, but it stays about the same, 21.1, 6.3% of the cap. So those are the 3 primary years that we're thinking about right now. So 10.9, 23, and then 21.1. After that, which is 2028, 2029 is the point where you can start thinking about moving off of Cross early if you want to. I don't think it's likely to happen because he's only going to be 29 years old in 2029. He should still be in his prime, but you can at least have the conversation. In 2029, his cap hit is 28.6 million, still only about 8.1% of the cap, manageable, but it is starting to accelerate. And if he's not one of the better players in the league at his position, the dead cap hit on moving off of him now would only be 16 million. So you can at least think about it. And remember, he'll have multiple years left on his deal, so you can split the 16 million across 2 years, and you can go 8 million dead in 2029, 8 million dead in 2030. So that is on the table. 28.6, still manageable, but now you have some options. 2030. 2030, the cap hit accelerates again to about 35 million. At this point, you're getting close to about 10% of the total cap. That's 9.5% of the total cap. And the dead cap hit would only be 8 million. So at this point, you're probably either going to release him if he's not playing so great, or you're going to extend him and push that cap hit back to get it down significantly for the 2030 season. Because usually players don't play on the last year of their deal anyway, and I really wouldn't expect a player on a $35 million cap hit with only 8 million dead to be playing on the last year of their deal. So therefore, you can see that we're not really going to get to this point. Now, there are 2 void years, 2031 and 2032, but they're only for $1.6 million each, which is nothing, insignificant. By the time we get there, that's not even going to be 1/2 of 1% of the salary cap. So they've slightly defrayed the relevant cap hits by throwing on a couple irrelevant cap hits at the very end. So makes sense to me. Seems like a great contract structure. I like it. I'm into it. And sounds like a win for both sides because Cross gets his money and we get our player for the next 5 years at, I would say, an appropriate price. The only time the price becomes potentially too much is 2030, and by then you're either extending him or you're letting him go. Only 8 million dead at that point. Seems very fair. I like the fact that we're using void years, but we're using them in a way that doesn't really matter that much. And I know that sounds like an odd thing to say, but 1.6 million dead in 2031 and 2032, you're not even going to notice that. By that point in time, the cap will be so big, it's basically, it's not even a parking ticket. All right, so that is the structure of Charles Cross's deal. Those are our options going forward. If we find out in a few years he wasn't that great, then we can move off of him. But also, his deal is going to come up at about the time he's 30 years old. You can extend him and get him on that third deal very reasonably. And if he's playing at a high level, I imagine that's probably going to be what happens here. So that is the Charles Cross contract. Let me know what you guys think. I will see you guys later. Go Hawks. 4 years, 104.4 million. And that is how it is structured, combined with the 5th-year option money he already had. All right, go Hawks.